Hey, and welcome back to Love Restore. I'm your favorite host, Marshaun Olaniyan. And listen, we are already on episode 3 of this season. Thank you so much for coming here. I'm super excited because we were talking about red flags, and we already talked about 2 areas of red flags, which is why and or are you missing the red flags? Like, what's actually happening with that? What's going on with the red flags? And then last week we talked about the high cost of staying too long in the relationship. And this week we are focusing on age. Okay, we're talking about, am I too old to find love? And this is overcoming the fear of starting over. As I talked about before, I have 3 areas to discuss here. So the first one is why age is not the barrier that you think it is. All right. The second thing is shifting from a scarcity mindset to an abundance mindset. And then we have some stories to share of real women who did not allow age to get in their way. Okay, so now let's talk about the first area, which is why age is not the barrier to love that you believe that it is. Well, one of the first things that comes to mind is love doesn't have an expiration date. Like, who told y'all that? Who told y'all that love has an expiration date? Society pushes that the idea that love is only for young people. But in reality, people are finding fulfilling relationships at all stages of their life. Love does not have an expiration date unless you are expired. Okay. And since you are here listening to this, you are not expired. Okay. So let's do that. And let me back up because I did not say what we doing. I just jumped right into it because I'm super excited to be here. But you are listening to KCCR Brownstone Cityscapes Radio, and I am your host, Marshaun Olaniyan, and this is Love Restore. So welcome. For the next 30 minutes, as you already know, we are talking about this ageism and am I too old to find love? Because a lot of people think that when they get this gray, salt and pepper, gray, whatever, when they start to get this gray, and especially if the relationship did not work out, whether they had a breakup, whether they had a divorce, and or if they have never gotten married before, they're like, okay, so I'm starting to get old. And when you start using the word old, you start to feel old. And I'm not saying that we're trying to defy our true age or anything. However, words are very powerful. And so if you believe and feel that you are old, your body will start to adjust to being just that. And so just understanding that words have power. Okay. Now let's move back into it because I was super excited. I forgot to introduce myself. Okay. Love does not have an expiration date. It doesn't. Don't let society fool you into believing that just because you are of a certain age that love will not and never will come your way. Another thing that comes to mind about age and it not being a barrier is that your emotional maturity leads to better choices. Like, isn't this the truth? When the younger you, if you think about yourself, the younger you made a lot of stupid choices trying to fit in, trying to be loved, trying to, be seen, be heard. When you are emotionally mature and feeling more stable, you make better choices, and you don't feel like you have to show up in those needy, uncertain, insecure ways like you once did. So with age comes wisdom. You now have a clear understanding of what you need and even deserve in your relationships. A lot of times when we're younger, we have a tendency to accept all types of drama and just stuff for the sake of being a part of a relationship or being a part of something. As we start to mature, as we start to get this gray and or have a head full of gray, we understand that peace is priority. People, relationships come and go, although we want to be in a stable relationship. If it don't feel right, if I don't feel like this person is adding to my life, I have a tendency to let them go quickly. And I'm saying but I'm speaking for age, people with wisdom, people with this gray, the salt and pepper, the full head. At some point, we no longer tolerate the same, as we say, BS as we tolerated in our 20s and our 30s. At some point, the light bulb came on and we're like, I'm worth more. putting the time, energy, and effort into people that put time, energy, effort into me. I'm giving what they are giving me. And or I'm just not playing those games with people. You either want to be in my life and take up space and actually be here and let's build something together, or not. It's like is that final, that shades of gray that we took on, seeing that the person is emotionally unavailable and we decide to stay or feel like he's gonna see my worth and he's gonna want to choose me. No, don't have time for that no more. You either gonna see it or you don't. And we're actually okay with you seeing it, but we're also okay with you not seeing it. So your emotional maturity is going to lead you to better choices in partnerships, is going to lead you to better choices in the people that you hang around, is going to lead you to feel stronger about the choices that you're making in your life, over your life, in your child's life, et cetera, et cetera. So you don't feel like you're just going through the motions just because, and or because you want to feel seen, you want to, all of the things that come along with that. It's like, no, I already know who I am. I know what I want. I know what I'm willing to tolerate. I know what my deal breakers are. I know what type of relationship I want. So you have all of these lists of things that are non-negotiable in your life. And that's a part of you maturing. That's a part of you experiencing. That's a part of you not being able to take full ownership of who you were earlier in life. And now you're just like, no. Another reason why age is not a barrier like you think it is because more people are dating later in life. The divorce rates, changing of the priorities, and our longer lifespans means that many people are actively looking for love in their 40s, 50s, 60s, and even beyond. So love has no expiration date, as I mentioned. Age is not the barrier that you think it is. Get you together. So when the next person comes along, you can recognize these red flags sooner. You will not be wasting time, energy, and effort that's not needed. You will understand the things that you need in life because you have taken the time to say, you know what? I pointed the finger, or I was the person I pointed the finger at everybody in my 20s, 30s, whatever. And now I realized that I wasn't perfect. I realized that my stuff does stink. I realized that there were areas in my life that I needed to work on. And I started to work on and work through those areas that I was weak in. You're willing to take more accountability as you age. You're willing to take full ownership for the things that you did wrong, the ways that you showed up that weren't as pretty, right? Your own toxicity that you brought to the table. Willing to do things and see yourself in a different light, which is why you're no longer allowing people to come into your life to take up space that should not be there. Age is not a barrier that you believe that it is, because you're not starting from scratch, sis. You're starting from experience. Every past relationship has taught you valuable lessons that will help you to choose better moving forward. The work that you had to do on yourself to understand what lessons you learned from each breakup helps you as you become more mature. That's why we have such stern non-negotiables as we age. It's like, I dealt with that before. I see the writing on the wall when this is presented to me. I didn't like it then. I'm no longer liking it and or allowing it to even be a part of where I'm at in my life right now. I'm not going backwards, I'm moving forwards. And so I need somebody just as emotionally compatible as I am, if not further ahead. Being able to, okay, actually hear and listen, not overspeak the person, not overtalk them or make them feel bad. It's just like, okay, instead of me listening to respond, I'm actually listening to understand. So, what did you mean by that? Asking deeper questions, because you're not all in your feelings. You know, everything is not about you. And you're just like, okay, I'm really trying to understand what's actually happening in this moment right now. I'm not a fan. So let's talk through these things, not sweeping things under the proverbial rug, because we understand that does not get us anywhere. being able to act like an adult in this thing that we call a relationship. We're able to take on the challenges that relationships bring, understanding that it's not just 100% about this person, because experience, we have life, we have other responsibilities that we have to take care of. So it's not always 100% focused on the person. It's understanding that, hey, tonight I can't talk for whatever reason. You know what? I actually need to focus over here right now, and being able to understand that we are going to get together on this date, and then both of y'all making time for one another, because your life is full, because so many other things are going on in your life, and that you can't just give all the time, energy, and effort that you once could when you were in college, or just when you were younger and had much less responsibility. So all of that is to say, you're not starting all over, you're starting from experience. And if you have not done the work on what each relationship taught you, what lessons, please do that. Because there are some gray haired fools. You don't want to be one of the gray haired fools. You want to be one of the mature ones, to be able to have said conversations on the things that didn't go right, as well as the things that you did wrong, and not 100% pointing the finger at the other person. The other reason why age is not a barrier is because now we want quality over quantity. Maybe when you were younger, you were a part of the people that dated a lot of people, and as we age, it's like, I don't really want to date all them damn folks. I want a quality person, and I'm willing to, at least give somebody enough time to figure out if I even want to have a date with them. Is this person a fool or not? Do they seem like they're quality based off of, some of the things that I've heard them say, not just the performance, not just the person that they're showing up as, their representative in this moment, but I've watched, I've seen, I've heard a couple things that they have done. And I'm like, okay, now I can make an informed, at least initial informed decision to even say, do I want to give any time into this person for a date? And if the answer is no, it's no. No means no, right? And being able to move forward and accept all of that. So we're not just looking for a whole bunch of people like we did in our younger years, and dated based off of attraction and chemistry alone. Now it's deeper, and you have the power to date with more intention and more clarity. So I highly suggest that you lean into that. You're not just starting over. And who cares about the gray hair? If you don't like your gray hair, you can always hide it. Me, I don't care. That's why it's gray. I'm actually leaning into my gray. Anywho, ain't about me. Let's move forward. Okay. But you have to do what makes you feel good. So now we have to shift from a scarcity mindset to an abundance mindset when it comes to dating. Are you too old to find love? A scarcity mindset will tell you, yes, you are. It will keep you stuck. It will keep you thinking that there are no good men out there, right? It'll keep you thinking it's too late for me. All of this only reinforces your fears and limits your options. That's not what we're trying to do. That's not where we're trying to be at. You have to lean more into the abundance, meaning there are great men out there, and there are great men out there for me, right? Instead of saying it's too late, it's not too late for me. You know why? Because I'm still breathing. And if this is something that I want, you can get it. It doesn't mean it's going to happen in your timetable. So you have to be open to it taking longer, or maybe even shorter time than you realize. But just understanding, just because you're ready to do it right here and now, you've made a conscious, intentional decision to start dating again, does not mean you're going to find your person right away. But at least you know what you want, and you are open to the possibility, and not allowing your gray hair to keep you stuck on the same cycle and or in the same toxic relationship because I'm getting older. Is anybody else going to want me? Another thing is abundance mindset opens doors. Believing that love is still possible for you. So believing that love is still possible for me, and that the right person is out there, helps you to approach dating with confidence and optimism. You've been through some breakups, you've been down the road, you have the experiences, you have even the battle wounds and scars, right? That's okay. That's okay. That's why you've taken the time to do the work. Ask yourself the tough questions so you can get down to the deeper answers, so you can feel like, well, love is still possible for me. And here's why. Have some examples for yourself. The right person is out there for me, right? Because you're becoming the right person. So your right person has to be out there for you. Being able to switch off of the scarcity and lean more into the abundance, as I mentioned earlier. Shifting from the scarcity mindset to abundance mindset in dating helps you to expand your dating pool. Being open to different types of men, being open to dating apps, being open to new social circles, and even unconventional ways of meeting people. All of these things can help you to lean in and or open up the door for the possibility of you meeting your person. Understanding that the dating apps might not have been around and or not as popular before you get back into this market, and that's okay. And so we're leaning into what you don't know instead of running away from it. Well, I only want to meet somebody. I only want to meet some people or somebody in person. Realizing that there are other ways to meet people, and being on the internet can open up your box, if you will, of where you go, the places that you go all the time. You might even travel the same road to get those places. So just think about it. When you're driving to work, 9 times out of 10, you take the same route to work every single day, going and coming. Very rarely do you deviate unless you have something to do. When you do that, you have a tendency to run into and or see the same type of people every single time that you take that road, especially if you decide to stop at the grocery store. You're going to the same grocery store. You're stopping at the same lights. You're stopping at the same I said grocery store, gas station. You're stopping at the same places that you stop at all the time, right? And because you're doing that, you're not meeting and or opening up the door or the window for somebody else to come into. I'm saying all that because dating apps can do that. And I remember when I was on the dating apps, I literally was talking to and or meeting people that didn't live in my immediate area. And so they're like suburbs, and as well as areas that I just don't travel to as frequently for whatever reason. And the dating apps help me to still date people in my city that I would probably never run across because I don't go to those particular areas all the time. And so just understanding that dating apps can open up the proverbial door for you to meet even more people. And then also understanding the events that you attend. Maybe it's time for you to open up the door, open up the window for you to start attending different types of events so you can broaden your horizons to the people that you're meeting. And this does not mean that you're always trying to meet somebody in the circle if you if you're going out in that moment. It doesn't mean that you're always trying to meet a potential partner, but it does mean that you're opening up the door for the possibility of you being seen and or meeting someone else. And so that's what I mean by making sure that you're not just shutting off the dating apps or going to different types of events and even different types of men. Maybe you have a type, right? Maybe there's a type of man that you consistently are drawn toward, and maybe it's time for you to open up and broaden your horizons for the physical look of the man that you're looking for, or not your core values, not adjusting to those, but just the physical, because a lot of times we have a type, and that physical will draw us to that person each and every time. Just being open to different types of men. And I would even venture out to say, this could be your thing. Maybe it's not your thing. This one is controversial, whatever. But even opening up yourself to different races or ethnicities of men. So just being open to the possibility that love can come in all shapes, forms, sizes, and because you're getting some gray and or have your gray does not mean that you are too old to stop settling, to stop seeing the red flags, or to stay. Overcome that fear. This is what this is: breathing life into yourself, bringing possibility, running from the scarcity mindset and leaning into the abundance mindset is really going to help you to say, I'm not too old. I can be chosen. I can be seen. But I first have to choose me. I first have to believe that I can be chosen before somebody else can choose me. So expand your dating pool. Another way to shift from scarcity to abundance is to reframe dating as an adventure versus a burden. Many people get stuck into the burden, like, oh God, I'm starting all over. I have to do all of this again. I have to meet some people. And so instead of looking at it like that, like, oh, what a drab, you got to do this again. And all of your posture, everything about you is saying, I do not want to do this. Instead of it going that way, it's like, this is a new adventure. This is a new experiences. You're opening yourself up. So instead of seeing it as a chore, view dating or putting yourself out there as a chance to meet new people, enjoy new experiences, and discover more about yourself. Again, every time you walk out the door, every time you're getting ready to meet somebody does not mean this is going to be your person, but it is going to help you to see life in a new light. It is going to help you to be seen as even more beautiful because you are living life. You have a full life. You're not sitting around waiting. You're not just growing old and gray and literally deteriorating before your own eyes. You're like, okay, I got some more gray. I got some more wisdom. I know what I'm willing to do. What I'm willing to put up with, the things that I'm not willing to put up. I know the type of relationship that I want. I know what my core values are. Maybe you didn't know what your core values were when you were younger, but now you do. And so now when the man comes and he's saying the things that are not in alignment with where you want your life to go, you can immediately disassociate yourself with that person. Can immediately go the other way. And that's okay. That's what we should be doing. This is how we are building these beautiful relationships, by just understanding who we are, what we want, our self-worth, understanding that we don't have to tolerate and or put up with something that is not adding to our life. And I remember when I was personally in a relationship that I ended because I felt like this person was consistently subtracting from my life. There was never an addition. And once I recognized this as a red flag, because honestly, it took me a little while to recognize it as a red flag, because my beliefs are when you're in a relationship, when you're in a relationship that you do certain things. But what I was doing it at the wrong time. I was doing it as his girlfriend. We were not husband and wife. So when we're a husband and wife team, that's something different. But as his girlfriend, it's like, okay, well, how are you bringing this same type of stuff to your own life? How are you getting these things instead of leaning on me, instead of thinking that I'm going to be there 100% of the time to do X, Y, and Z? It doesn't work like that. And so that was something that I had to recognize as a red flag early on and stop showing up as his wife when I was in fact his girlfriend. Right. And so this is where the wisdom comes into play. This is where the understanding, like, okay, been there, done that, seen these things before, didn't like it before. And so I'm not going to continuously go down this road, but not seeing it as a burden, not seeing this as a chore, just knowing that putting yourself out there does not mean that you're going to find your person right away. It just means that you open up the door for your person to find you sooner, because you are living a full life. And when you're living a full life, you become so attractive. You become so attractive because you're able to hold conversations about yourself, about the things that you like, about the things that you love, about the things that you're doing in your life, about the goals that you have, about the aspirations. All of these things help to attract the other person. And then you're out there doing those things, whether it's traveling, right? Maybe you're a gym rat, as they say. You're always at the gym because you want your physical to be better. But it's not just about your physical, it's about your physical, it's about your mental, it's about you feeling good, it's about you looking good, it's about the energy that it brings you. So it's not just about your physical, it's about a lot of other aspects in your life. Maybe you look good, but maybe you still have diabetes or something. And you're like, okay, wow, I physically look good, but my internal is not matching up with my external. And so I want to do a little bit more. I want to take it a little bit further. So maybe you start to pick up and do other things, not just because of your physical, but just how all of these things make you feel. And when you're living a full life and when you're in tune with who you are, now you start to attract, and it does not matter your age. If you like the way that you look in any shape or size, other people will like the way that you look. The opposite sex will like the way that you look. But you have to own the way that you look. You have to like the way that you look before anybody else is going to lean into and honor and like the way that you look. Right? So now let's talk about love after divorce. Is it possible to get love after divorce? And I have to say yes. Yes, it is possible. I have a client that I have been working with off and on for a few years now, and she fits this particular mold. She had got a divorce. She met and married another guy, and all of the things that I'm talking about, just she was really scared. She was even scared, even though she had already left the previous relationship. She was just like, I don't know about this dating thing again. I'm just like super, I don't know. And we talked about why she was feeling that way. Like we went through some exercises, she did some internal work, and we were trying to figure out what was actually happening and getting down to the deeper root. But then once she started putting herself out there, intentionally putting herself in spaces that she was kind of uncomfortable being in, opening herself up to different types of men, again, not necessarily ethnicity wise, but just she would go for men that had a certain look before, and then she started opening herself up to other types of look that wouldn't necessarily capture her attention initially, but they were bringing a little bit more to the table. And so eventually, through the ups and downs of the dating process, once again, she was able to practice a lot of the things that she had learned with us working together. And she is now happily married to a man who doesn't fit necessarily her initial attraction, if you will, but he's bringing so much more to the table that she is even more in love with him. And so they are 50 plus. And so you can find love after a divorce, but you do have to be willing to put yourself out there. You have to be willing to say, okay, these are some of the things that I recognize about myself. Why, what did I do and in order for my previous relationship to end? It's not always about the other person. What was it that I was doing that made the relationship end up the way that it did, whether it was a breakup or divorce? It's just like, okay, taking full ownership, taking accountability, understanding that if there was a breakup or divorce, it absolutely could be another marriage, healthy. And you don't have to go through 2, 3, 4 marriages before the light bulb comes on. I remember watching this show is called The Later Daters on Netflix. And one of the ladies on there, I believe she was in her 60s or 70s, but I don't remember. And I'm pretty sure her name was Suzanne. But she was just full of energy, head full of white hair, a Caucasian lady. And she was dating this one guy, and he was kind of moving a little too fast for her because all of them were kind of trying to find love. And so she got kind of scared, but she couldn't stop thinking about this guy. So she went out on other dates with other men, but she couldn't stop thinking about this one guy that they had a really deep attraction. And they did a lot of things together. Like she was super active and still had a lot of life in her, and she was full of energy, and she was moving around, and she loved, if I'm not mistaken, it was the Bulldogs. But the point is, like, she was out there just living life and doing her thing. And she was highly successful, so she didn't necessarily need a man with money per se, like to take care of her. She was already still doing that, but she just wanted a compatibility partner. And long story short, they end up coming back together. and had a beautiful time. And she was just like, number one, once they got reconnected, he didn't let it go. He was like, what happened? Like, we had such a great time, and then all of a sudden, essentially, she kind of ghosted him. But it's because she was scared of it going so fast as well as so good, and she backed away. But she couldn't get him out of her head. She ended up reaching out to him. Like I said, he wouldn't let that go. He was like, "What happened?" And she ended up sharing it with him. But they decided to continue dating one another, and obviously, I don't know how theirs ended, but the point is, love in your 50s and your 60s is absolutely possible, but you have to be open to doing the work. You have to be open to knowing that it can work out, and not only for other people, but also work out for you. So age is a thing if you make it a thing. Understanding that because we're living longer, 40s, 50s, 60s are and beyond are still finding love, true love, living happily ever after. So with that being said, I am Marshaun Olaniyan. I love you guys, and there's nothing that you can do about it. This is Love Restore, and you are listening to KCCR Brownstone Cityscapes Radio. And I will see you on the next episode where we're taking an even deeper dive into releasing your fear of rejection. All right, I'll see you then. Bye-bye now.